All right, I'm back. I'm good.
All right. I'm going to take a little sip of my coffee here real quick.
Yeah.
And even though we don't have any sponsors, if I did believe in sponsors or putting anybody out there, if you are in the California area, I do recommend Tierra Mia coffee. It is delightful. I am drinking the beverage called Cubano con leche. So I recommend it. All right, let's get on to the show. Enough being silly, but little coffee there. But this is the Political Matrix. I am your host, Young Morpheus, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Cy Lawson. How we been doing this week, Chris?
What's up, man? Happy holidays to all the viewers. All that good stuff. Yeah, everything been cool. I worked this week. Had a day off or two. Um, but other than that, it's been cool. Weather dropped, as you can see. I'm, long sleeved up. You know, we finally hit it was like 46 degrees this morning when I woke up, which is, for us down here, it's like, whoa, it's kind of chilly.
Mhm.
But other than that, it's the same old thing, you know.
Yeah, my mom said that they were dealing with like 20, so it was nippy where they were at, to say the least.
Hmm.
There we go, my good man Emmanuel here joining us. Oh, I like the natural. It suits you oh so nicely.
E, what's
Oh,
up, man?
how we
Hey,
doing,
what's
brother?
up, Chris? What's up, Marcus? How's it going?
Oh,
Not much, man. We just here chilling, man. We just
man.
started not too long ago.
Oh yeah, good to hear your voice, sir. I see we have Variant joining us in the building. I'm so glad to have her with us as usual. And as the rest of you all file in, make sure you say hello. Let us know that you're there. Make sure to tap a thumbs up. Also, I guess I will go on ahead and give us the topics for tonight. Well, we have the title of the show, as you already see. It's Christmas and Kamala Kwanzaa. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Those, I can't even keep a straight face. Oh, yes, we have a clip for you. We are going to show you Kamala's clip talking about her Kwanzaa traditions and history and how it's dated back to her family. But we will go into that in the video. We're also going to talk about
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
My bad. My bad. Go ahead, Marcus. Now finish up, man.
Well, happy holidays to her also. But what we're going to be talking about Christmas and where it actually comes from. Um, if you are an atheist, and that's perfectly cool, and you're a pagan, fine. But if you're a person who say you believe in the Bible, I'm going to show you why you should not be celebrating Christmas. Um, and we also have a couple of topics as far as politics, news, and vaccination information. So, without further ado, I will hand it over to Mr. Cy Lawson. I was wondering about did you already see this ahead of time? Or wait, I forgot. Emmanuel, did you even know about the Kamala thing? Have you seen this
I
yet?
literally found out about it like not even 10 minutes ago. So I literally know what you're talking about because she tried doing that. She tried doing that same thing on Thanksgiving, and that shit did not work when she did it that time. And this time is equally
Yeah.
just as bad.
Well, since it's kind of new and fresh, and some people haven't seen it yet. Hopefully Chris can get it queued up for us, and we can show you this clip so that you can see what we're talking about. And then after that, we're going to talk about Kwanzaa just a little bit. It's kind of interesting. I should bring up like a kind of Twitter beef that I'm getting into right now with somebody who is oh so happy and radiant and falling at Kamala's feet, and he feels so welcome to her Kwanzaa
Oh,
festival.
hey guys,
Yes.
I think we froze. I just got a message saying that we're frozen at 2:24.
What?
Yeah, at 2 minutes and 24 seconds in, I got a message saying that it's frozen.
Are we still frozen?
I think so.
Well,
Can somebody put in the chat if they can see us at all? Let me go into my phone.
no, Varian is saying that. I see y'all's message, but Varian is saying that the stream froze.
Let me see if we're still frozen.
Uh-oh.
No, we're doesn't appear that
Okay,
we're
it's
frozen.
back. We good.
Okay. All right. Where was I? I was talking about this this
This
Kamala.
person you got into it with.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was having a little bit of a Twitter battle with somebody who felt so touched and so emotional by this video. And they also said that they literally cried, like dropped tears because of this video. So I wanted you all to see this heartfelt, emotional video which Kamala Harris wanted to share with the world. Or I guess I shouldn't just say Kamala Harris anymore. I should say Vice President elect Kamala Harris. So I guess we will let the video do the talking.
Gotcha. It's coming right up.
Happy holidays, everyone. I wanted to take a moment to send my warmest wishes to everyone celebrating Kwanzaa. Like so many other holidays, we will be celebrating Kwanzaa a little differently this season in our home. We'll be doing it over Zoom. You know, my sister and I, we grew up celebrating Kwanzaa. Every year, our family and our extended family, we would gather around across multiple generations, and we tell stories. The kids would sit on the carpet, and the elders would sit in chairs, and we would light the candles, and of course, afterwards, have a beautiful meal. And of course, there was always the discussion of the 7 principles. And my favorite, I have to tell you, was always the one about self-determination, Kuji Chakalia. And, essentially it's about be and do. Be the person you want to be and do the things you want to do and do the things that need to be done. It's about not letting anyone write our future for us, but instead going out and writing it for ourselves. And that principle motivates me today as we seek to confront the challenges facing our country and to build a brighter future for all Americans. So to everyone who is celebrating, happy Kwanzaa from our family to yours.
Okay, so we got
All
a
right,
couple things here, right?
Can I ask you my first question? Okay. Was there a Christmas message or a Kwanzaa message in literally nowhere? So probably the reason why they picked Kwanzaa is because Kwanzaa isn't really based on an economic standpoint. If they mention Christmas, my theory is that if they mention Christmas or Hanukkah, then you would have to bring up the fact you'd have to bring up the fight and the stimulus payments. You would have to bring up the $2,000 they're fighting for. You would have to bring up what Trump did. Kwanzaa is just that comfortable. They don't really care very much about money. And then that little slide in about self-determination, like pull it, which is just basically up by your own bootstraps.
Yo, that's actually
things about
pretty astute, kid.
So
yeah, I was gonna say that's solid breakdown. I mean, I didn't even think about some of those things which you brought up, Emmanuel. I kind of looked at it, kind of dovetailing a little bit off of what Emmanuel said, was that I look at it as it's one of those holidays, holidays where you can kind of make it whatever you want to. And you know it's connected to the Black community, so you can pander a little. And most people don't know what the hell Kwanzaa even is, including the Black community. So when you start trying to break it down as if it has this deep connection to you, even if it's a Black person, I look at you a little bit like, come on, man, for real. I mean, growing up, we only knew a handful of people who really even like took Kwanzaa seriously. And most of those people were either Muslims, or I mean, like Nation of Islam, or they were, Black Power extremists, which is nothing wrong with that. At this point, I consider myself one. But those were the only people who were really doing it seriously. And then the schools would kind of try to matriculate it in a little bit for some inclusion. Because if you go back through looking at the differences throughout history between the different communities, Christmas was more looked at as more of a white holiday because for white kids, they were getting everything they wanted. And for a lot of Black kids, especially ones I knew, Christmases weren't always that great. And I've had 50-50 on them. What do you say, Chris?
Well, Emmanuel, that was a great point you made. I hadn't even considered it, tying the lack of money to self-determination, right? Like, we're not going to help you figure it out yourself, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So that was a good point too. For me, I just looked at it like the continuation of what I've been saying about her for a long time. She's full of shit. Again, if you know her nationality, she's Jamaican and she's Indian. Okay? If you know anything about either of those groups, traditionally, neither one of them celebrate Kwanzaa, especially the Indian side of her. They ain't celebrating no damn Kwanzaa. And for sure, the Jamaican side, again, most Jamaicans are what? Christians or Seventh-day Adventists. They
But hold on. You know what? I'm sorry to interject here, but you know what? Gloves are taken all the way off with Kamala Harris. No respect with Kamala Harris. I call
None.
it directly how it is from me.
That the history with the founder of Kwanzaa, by the way, you would think she would have swerved her way off of that, but no, she dovetailed right into it. And I don't really know anybody who celebrates Kwanzaa. I think everybody's like kind of like the Futurama version of Kwanzaa, where Kwanzaa Bot's passing out that book that says "What the hell is Kwanzaa?" It's got like a little black kid with his hands up in the air. Like I don't know what the hell.
Well, yeah, I don't. That nobody says. Everybody thinks because her father's Jamaican that means he's Black. They don't factor in that there's plenty of people in Jamaica who are not Black or who are a mixture. And if you want to get into her father, he's not even completely Black. He grew up in a mostly Hindu family. So I don't get where any Kwanzaa would have came in on her mother or father's side, even if he is Jamaican. He still has a certain heritage and culture. I dated a woman in the past. Her daughter is engaged now to a Chinese Jamaican. Just because he's Jamaican doesn't erase the fact of his Chinese culture and heritage and religion, which he might have already grew up and had. And so I'm not sure what his religion is, but let's just say, for instance, let's say that his family is Buddhist. If he came there as a Jamaican Buddhist, why would he celebrate Kwanzaa? It's the same thing if you're a Hindu, why would you celebrate Kwanzaa?
Yeah, it's just to make her seem like she has relevancy within the Black community, because those of us who know she doesn't have any, for lack of a better term, she have no juice in the hood, right? Nobody looks for her. I mean, unless you're those in the Black community who do like her, clearly you can just chalk that up to MSNBC, CNN viewers, NPR listeners, and the like. other than that, anybody else who's not paying attention to media from those specific entities knows that she's funny money. So
Well, yeah,
as far as
I think she's doing that particularly because Biden's going to be out of there, you know, almost the moment. It's going to seem like, man, he just got in there and he's going to already be stepping down. And when she gets in there, she's trying to build herself some kind of currency that's going to pay off dividends later. You got to remember, anything that these politicians do, they don't do of their own volition. They didn't just come up with it and sit around. They have tons of people who they have paid to sit around 24 hours to think of marketing and strategy and branding and all of this stuff that's going on.
and Twitter followers and all that other stuff.
Make no mistake, all of these things are going on. Think about it. Twitter doesn't allow you to correct when you mistype something or when you misspell something. But if you look at most politicians, how do they only have an error rate of like 4 tweets lifetime? Because they literally have somebody that, you know, comes up with this perspective, that perspective. They all sit there in a room, dice it together, and then have this other person who types it out and then proofreads it before they put out the tweet. That's how.
Well, that's like most of the people in the thread under that message, under the video rather. Most of the accounts that are like, "Oh, Kamala, we love you, so great. You know, we want to see that the Kwanzaa feast." You know, to me, those just come across as fake accounts.
They're the very same people who are all sitting there putting the message together. I mean,
because it's
the majority of them.
Look, on your cell phones, it's nothing to start a second Twitter account. It's a matter of like a push of a button, right? You go into your settings, you want to start a new account, boom. You name it, whatever, and you off and running. So, you know, you multiply that over a few hundred people and you can generate thousands of messages and retweets, etc., to make it seem as if you have all this great support when you really don't. And that's essentially what's happening with Biden and Kamala.
Well, think of anybody who follows me. How many Twitters do I have? Emmanuel, how many Twitters do I have?
You have like 3.
Last count is like 5.
Oh, damn. 4. Damn.
4.
Yeah, 5.
I have
I was like,
the Political Matrix. I have, or is it Young Morpheus? I can't remember what it says. But I have another one that says like what I'm not thinking. And then I have the one where I just put out retweets. And then I have the 4th channel where I put out all the videos from all of my appearances, whether it's on this channel, the What I've Been Thinking channel, or interviews that I do on other platforms. So I have 4, and they're known that all 4 are me because I link all the pages together. So if I do that and show you that I can do that, how many do you think these consultants are doing and paying people to do?
Clearly.
I gotta respect Kamala or whoever controls the Democratic marketing team's materialism swerve on that one. I mean, I respect that. They literally picked the one holiday that's not tied, that's literally has this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. They literally have a solid foundation into avoiding the materialism and the trappings of Christmas, right? You pick one that's not backed. Pick one that's not backed off of that, and then focusing on that distracts people from the fact that their PUA benefits run out, I think, today or yesterday. The stimulus, supposedly they were supposed to get 600. Trump came in, rubbed his Trump magic all over it and said, no, I'm gonna veto it, and now it's $2,000. So now they're scrambling to fix that. There's obviously gonna be a delay.
And you know, sticking with that too. Again, you hate Trump if you like, whatever. The man said, yo, let's get $2,000 in people's hands. The Democrats made sure they did everything in their power to make sure that didn't happen, which is why she used that maneuver of unanimous consent with the vote earlier this week, because she knew it would take only one no vote to kill the entire thing. So she purposely set that up. So and then they turned around and blamed Republicans because one voted against it. I mean, she pulled a sleight of hand, and if you don't understand how these politics work, you'll be gassed into thinking that it was only Trump and Republicans that screwed you out of your money, when in fact the Democrats have no designs on helping you either.
Well, let's you know what? I'm gonna rewind this a little bit for people, because I don't think a lot of people do this. Because how most of us especially who come from this activist mindset and we want to see change, we don't understand how the actual, when they keep talking about 3-dimensional chess, 4-dimensional chess, that's just them saying out words to a lot of us. But what it really means is how they're laying their different moves in place. And when they decided that they were going to block Trump from getting any kind of stimulus package through before the primaries, when they knew they had leverage, they made that choice that we want to try to push for Biden to get elected. We don't want to give Trump a win because that might hurt our chances. They made that choice back then, knowing it would take the leverage away. Now, any of you who are running around screaming about the Republicans, normally I would get upset and start screaming and hollering, but I'm trying to restrain myself from doing that as much. What I want you all to understand is, no matter how much blaming Republicans and crying about Republicans, the Republicans are not your damn friend. They don't need your vote. They don't need you at all. So they don't listen to you at all. So you screaming about Republicans is a waste of your time. You have to try to control what's in-house first. And if the Democrats are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're dropping the ball, and you can keep saying, well, the Republicans did this and the Republicans that, you got to notice, when you have leverage, if you don't take advantage of it, you can't complain about what the opposition does to you, and you losing that opportunity later. And that's what brings us to the situation we are in now. They can't sit there and bellyache so much about the Republicans when they put this situation into the Republicans' hands and took their own leverage away because they were worried more about power. Now, if we take it back even a little bit before that, they did this in the primaries by pushing so hardcore to have Biden in the first place. All of these movements which they do are part of this 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional chess they keep talking about. When they make these decisions, it constricts you and constricts you and constricts you to certain pathways and only a handful of options. And what many of you are doing out there is you're only focusing at where we are right now versus how we got to here.
Well, they did it. Oh, my bad.
Okay. I'm sorry. Wording is everything in politics. Wording is everything, right? Wording is, when they, what they were trying to force the vote for Medicare for all, and all of them said, I support Americans' access to health care, or I support all Americans getting adequate medical care. They deliberately don't say it. And then, student debt for a perfect example. Student debt's another example. First of all, what was it? Schumer saying he could go up to $50,000. Not we're going to get rid of $50,000. He said up to $50,000. So that could mean $5,000, $10,000, $500. Whatever hurdle you have to jump through to get it. And now he's even saying he can't do it. And now he's even saying he can't do it now. So Biden has gone on record saying he can't do it now. So Marcus is right. There's all these levels and games and stuff like that. And even Trump offering the $2,000, that's just another game on top of that game. So even if it doesn't go through, he looks like a hero. If it does go through, he looks like a hero. And that's just another level to the fuckery. So
On some level, yeah, but here's the thing, right? If you're telling us that we're in this pandemic and people need help and financial assistance, right? Even if it was just a gimmick on Trump's behalf, right? The Democrats still chose to screw everybody else over to stick it to Trump. So again, say what you like about the guy. On this one, I'm not putting this on him. I'm putting this on on Pelosi, Schumer, and the rest of them. And sticking with this whole topic of the bill, you even had like AOC looking real goofy out here too. Her mask is falling off. Why do I say that? Because she's complaining about, oh, the bill is 5,000 pages. We didn't get a chance to read it. Then you vote yes for it, and then you complain about what's in it. So, shorty, what are you talking about? Maybe you don't need to be doing what you do, because now you look real silly, absolutely silly. You could have voted no. Simple as that. And then furthermore, the other part that's super frustrating is we really don't even have to be locked down, period.
See, I mean, that's the frustrating thing which I have with this whole situation is everybody's we're just being allowed to, we're given this whole scenario and everybody's just digesting the scenario without even, I mean, we all know what's going on. We were locked down, so that means that certain businesses were affected. That means that people's livelihoods were affected. That means that, shelter above people's head is affected. Now, knowing all of these things and knowing that it's from something that is outside of the control of everyday modern citizens, we are the only government in the world who decided to respond the way that we did. We're the only nation who is struggling now, basically going into, a recession. We're the only one who's doing that. And still, with all of this going on, all they're trying to do is trying to get across that hurdle to getting Biden, in office. Once they get him inaugurated, watch, you're really going to see those masks slip in a minute. Those of you who are, well, you guys are being too hard on AOC and members of the squad and all that, you're really about to see those masks come all the way off in a minute. Because once he's already inaugurated and it's all said and done and they're in office and everything, Biden's not going to have to keep tiptoeing back and forth with his statements. And he's not going to have to backpedal on this. And how we found out that Biden was the one who was backdooring a lot of the negotiations, weeks and weeks later, we're going to start finding out, oh, well, the reason why stuff was falling apart now was because Biden was backdooring it. And he's showing you that I will say one thing in public and I will do something different behind closed doors. He's still showing you that he's not trustworthy. Now, when he completely has the whole, it's kind of like right now he's a superhero and he's kind of temporarily walking around with the power and he's waiting for it to be knighted onto his shoulders. And once he gets that, then he doesn't give a damn because he doesn't have to listen to anybody, not any of you guys. So unless you're going to organize and actually get in the streets and start making politicians feel uncomfortable, really uncomfortable, then you're wasting your time with all the blabbing and yelling and bitching and moaning.
It's a fact. They just think that they can go on their online platforms and just keep tweeting at these people or calling or sending envelope letters. Like, you're not making anyone uncomfortable because they can ignore your tweets, they can shred your letters, and they can dodge your phone calls. So again, all of the avenue, and again, you're voicing your opinion through the avenues through which they tell you that you can exercise your frustration. That's not how it's supposed to work. If you're going to challenge power, you challenge power. You don't follow their blueprint to, you don't follow their blueprint to just to go ask them a question. You got to demand shit. And again, like Marcus said, you have to make them extremely uncomfortable.
You're going to say
and not just the threat of not making re-election either.
Oh, what was that? What was that, Emmanuel?
You on mute, E.
I was going to say in regards to the vaccine. I mean, in regards to the virus. They were talking about the. I know we were going to get into it at some point, but they were talking about the strains locking down. The rest of most of Europe, right? And then supposedly, Tulsi brought it up like a couple of days ago, and I was like, well, if she's bringing it up now, then that means that A, it's already here, and B, they must have known way before that. So,
well, they had both Tulsi and AOC this week both come out in favor of the vaccine to tell people it's safe and that it's okay, etc. So,
well,
again,
I have a question. Like, once the strains came out, I didn't hear. I heard like the old lady getting the vaccine, Biden got the vaccine, Pelosi got the vaccine. As soon as the strains came out, as soon as I heard word about it, as soon as the country started getting locked down, it's like it just disappeared. Like they didn't hear about it anymore. It was like it didn't matter anymore. So it really just stopped all. It just stopped all together, and I was just like, that is a really.
It's funny. It's funny that you brought that up, man, because that's like that dovetails into a story, another story that we have that we're gonna go into if we have some time. Sorry, back on the Kwanzaa thing. There's one thing that I want to say before we hop off that topic. We can get back on talking about vaccinations, but what a lot of people don't understand about Kwanzaa has only been around since about 1966. Kamala Harris was born in like 1964. It started its origins and traditions in the United States.
Marcus, you forget. Sorry to cut you off. You're forgetting she a time traveler, kid. So she went back and set it up so that they were celebrating Kwanzaa, listening to Pac, and listening to Dr. Dre. I'm saying all before the albums dropped. So
I remember that story. That was
that's what I'm saying. So we got to remember.
Heard the album that didn't even come out yet.
Correct, for years. So we got to remember she's a time traveler. So we all wrong right here. She got the DeLorean and the train and Doc Brown somewhere.
But I mean, she must have had a time traveling minivan for this one, because she said like her whole family, they were celebrating Kwanzaa for like generations, and so they
had the whole they had the caravan.
Yeah, so I'm like,
the man who created it, the man who created it is still alive.
Maybe they created Kwanzaa. Maybe.
Kwanzaa, Kamala. Kwanzaa, Kamala. I don't know. Okay, you onto something, Marcus.
They might have
created it. Wait, that man who created I can't remember his name, but the man who created it, he's still alive. The dude who created who invented it, he's still alive. He's still alive and kicking. I'm like, what is she talking about?
Wait, is that true, Kelly? Y'all seen this? I didn't pay much attention to this story at all.
I knew about the bombing. I didn't know what it involved.
That's interesting.
It's very. Now I'm gonna have to go. Now be up till like 4 or 5 o'clock this morning picking that apart. Now, thanks, Kelly.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do some more research on that one, Kelly, and then on the panel, I will bring that topic up. I did notice those developments with it, but yeah, I will talk about that tomorrow on the panel. After I dig into it more, yeah. But that's very, very interesting. Oh, and I guess we will get on to the other main topic, Christmas. I wanted to break down for people. You know what? Let's start off with questions. Let's start off with questions for the chat and for the panel. I'll give us about a good 30 seconds for the chat. And if you guys are not ready or don't have an answer, then I will turn it over for Emmanuel first, and then Chris, to see if they can answer this question. The tradition of cutting down trees and bringing them into houses, where does this tradition come from? And I mean, which place in the world does this tradition come from? That is the question. Where does cutting down trees for Christmas come from? Which place does that come from? Let's see.
Is
Let
it
me count. Give it. I guess I'll give it a little bit of time. 30 seconds, right?
Nah, dude.
Hold on. Give him a chance, man. Give him a chance.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
see if anybody in the chat can give me an answer.
no cheating?
Yeah, no cheating,
No Google searches.
because I had somebody. I was at a family one of the family like Zoom chat kind of things, and this question came up as like a little fun Christmas thing. And the answer, which was the supposed correct answer, was completely incorrect. And I couldn't hold my tongue. I had to correct them. But let's see.
Is it I would say, is it Italy?
Italy is incorrect.
Okay.
I thought it was Norway or Sweden or Germany.
Norway, Sweden, Scandinavia, and Druids are incorrect for the original. Let's see what else we got. Somewhere near let's see, let's put Sign's comment on there. To whether find a tree farm. Nope. All right, let's see. So let's turn it over to what'd you say again, Emmanuel?
I said Germany, Sweden, just one of the Nordic countries.
He said one of the Scandinavian countries.
That's
Right. You
incorrect.
said that was wrong. Right.
Mine says Netherlands.
That's incorrect.
That's still the Nordic area. So
Yes, Mr. Lawson, what do you say?
Me, after that, I'm lost. I'm lost as far as where that came from. Got me beat there.
Where that came from is ancient Mesopotamia.
Oh, okay.
This goes back to Nimrod and Tammuz worship. This is where it actually comes from. Now, the reason why a lot of people believe that it is Scandinavia or some of the other northern countries is because they did take on these festives and traditions. And because of the overlap that you see in some of the other different like Nordic and other I guess we'll say other faiths and religions. And so they did pick up some of these traditions. And this originally came from Mesopotamia. And if you don't know the actual story of Tammuz and Nimrod and Semiramis, or some call her Ostara, which that's her name in other faiths, which that dovetails into Easter, which we'll go into that on another show. But she was married to Nimrod, and Nimrod wanted to. He had the Tower of Babel in the Bible. Well, if you've all heard of Babylon, that's what we're talking about here. So when he was killed, after he was killed, the legend went that he went up and he united with the sun. And then he came back down and he impregnated his wife, and she bore the son Tammuz. No pun intended, but Tammuz was killed by a boar while he was a child. And it said that his spirit went up, reunited with his father for a couple of days during this time of December 25th, and he came back down into the trees. And what they used to do is they would take the trees, cut them down, they would nail them into place, and deck gold and silver all over the trees and bow to them in worship of Tammuz. That is where Christmas comes from. So when everybody thinks about that it's actually Christ's birthday or something like that, Christ was born in spring. I mean, to just put it simple, he was born in spring. So this is Tammuz worship, which a lot of people don't realize that that's what they're actually doing. But, you know, I didn't want to hurt a lot of my family members' feelings and tell them that, hey, you say you believe in the Bible, but what you're doing is completely against the Bible. It's actually pagan worship. And even though you don't know that you're doing it, it still pisses God off. Let's see, what did it say? Wait, was Nimrod a real person? According to the Bible, he was absolutely a real person. So, well, and I'll go into a little bit more about Nimrod, which a lot of people don't know. This is where a lot of the phallic symbols, which we have all over the United States, whether it's the World War I and II museums, which are basically, you know, straight up obelisks, to the one that's in the Vatican that sits outside of Rome. A lot of these symbols go back to Nimrod and Masonic worship. A lot of the early founders, we all know, they were all Masons. And a lot of this Masonic stuff leads back to, you know, believing in Nimrod and some of the goals which he was trying to reach towards. I mean, and make sure to write this down. You know, in case we have time, we'll try to bring this up. But if you look up the UN building, I believe, and you look up what depictions of the Tower of Babel, they literally look like the same building. They like designed them off of the ancient Tower of Babel. So, I mean, these people, whether you believe in religion or not, this is what they believe. And they're playing out a lot of these things, you know, through their actions and goals that they've been trying to push towards. So back on to Nimrod. Shem, his uncle, killed him and chopped him up into 14 pieces. And sent his body to all the neighboring places and was like, he is not a god. He's just a man. Stop worshiping this moron, basically. And so his wife, Semiramis, she went around to collect all his body parts. The only thing that they were unable to find was his male member.
The third leg.
The third leg, Kelly's favorite topic. So since they couldn't find it, that's where all these phallic statues come from. That's what the whole pyramid. If you go back even to ancient days, the way they described the male versus female in writings and hieroglyphs is that pyramid symbol, the arch. That's the male. If you inverse, that's the female. You guys see where that's going. Okay, we're all sharp enough to figure it out. But that's where those symbols come from, a lot of those Masonic symbols. It has to do with, let's just go ahead and say it, sexual innuendos throughout most of the stuff that they're doing. That's the reason why they put the symbol literally right over their crotch. I mean, so... let's see, what else do we have in there? So the Bible is only reference source for Nimrod. Well, not the only source. There's non-biblical writings and hieroglyphs and stuff that they have also, and there's archaeology and stuff like that. So the more technology has helped with science, the more they've been able to find a lot of these ancient temples and, you know, destroy, you know, monuments and stuff. So they're actually able to validate, okay, this is the place where this story happened. We can't validate the story, but we can validate the place. Let's see.
Interesting. I just learned something new today.
Me too.
Oh, what's that?
No, what you just said about the trees. But this John Podesta pic with the writing on his hand, I wonder what that is. I'm gonna look that up real quick. But I just didn't know what that was in reference to. A variant said this right here.
Yeah, variant. Can you explain? I'm not sure. I mean, it could be. I'm not sure. Not sure about the John Podesta pick. Like I was telling Emmanuel and Chris in the message. I'll tell on myself that it's like, hey, I've kind of like just been touch and go with politics. So this week, so you guys are gonna have to put me in the loop if you got any stories you want to really bring up. I just have my handful that caught my attention. You know, I always try to find something interesting and unusual stuff that most of the time we won't run across. So, you know, if you all feel like bearing with me tonight, I'll bring up some of those stories if we don't get too late in the night.
Yeah, go ahead, E.
No, I didn't have anything. I didn't even really know about the PUA thing until like it was like 5 minutes before I showed up here. I completely forgot. So I mean yesterday. Today.
Well, I saw a very interesting story. I guess we'll talk about it a little bit because Emmanuel brought it up earlier about the vaccinations, and I saw this story that I was like, you know what, I should bring that one up. What was the title of that? Let me check real quick in my messages. It was something about. It had to do with faulty vaccinations. I'm trying to remember the nation. Do you remember about Chris?
Yeah, I do. But since we're on that topic, I did want to pull this up here because there was a nurse who took the vaccine and she got all screwed up from it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she's out here telling her story, but, you know, because she's not dancing out here, you know, like all the choreographed stunts we see with all these nurses in the hospitals worldwide, you know, she didn't get put on TV. But I'm going to show you guys what she had to say. Give me a second here.
Hi, I am a registered nurse in Nashville, Tennessee, and my name is Kalila Mitchell. I'm reaching out to everyone about the COVID-19 vaccination. I recently took the COVID-19 vaccination. After the shot, I felt fine, but within 3 days, I went to the doctor because I had problems with my face. The whole left side of my face, actually. I have Bell palsy now. And as you can see, I can't smile. I'm trying to smile. I'm just getting embarrassed at work. But I just want everyone to know that I think this vaccination is the worst thing ever. And I would not give this to anybody, even my worst enemy. Please, America, they do not care about us. Do not take this vaccination.
So as we can see, you know, already we've got as we can see, you already have some people injured. But on the news, they just keep saying there's just allergic reactions. But they're not going into any detail. They're not going into any detail about what these allergic reactions are. And they're not giving you any background story on the people who are having the allergic reactions, right? What was their health status? What are they allergic to? Blah, blah, blah. None of that, just allergic reactions. Now we see this. Stories like this will not be promoted, nor will be shown the way that they took the video of Fauci. And speaking of which, did you guys see the picture of Fauci this week? He took the shot in the left arm. Right? The next day he shows up at the press conference and they say, "Hey, Doc, how you feeling?" He touches his right arm. "Oh, I just have a little soreness here."
Mm-hmm. It's the other arm, yeah.
Again, you playing with people. And how you make a mistake? if you twist your right ankle or you hit your right or you mess up your right knee, you're not going to touch your left knee or left ankle and be like, oh yeah, it's sore here. Stop it. You don't forget. You don't make that mistake.
Oh yeah, it's something that I wanted to add on to, which I don't think a lot of people think of. Well, onto that, I forgot one thing I wanted to say because it's interesting. I did find reports that I found last week that was saying that one of the side effects to it was Bell palsy. And so, and if people don't know, Bell palsy is, it is a derivative of, of all those different, stroke inducing type conditions. And, it's an ugly, scary thing. And anytime they rush things out to the market, I mean, we all know this, even with a brand new cell phone, we expected to have problems with it. Why wouldn't you think a vaccination would be the same thing? And you're experimenting with that in your body. I mean, we got to also remember that, yes, we all say, oh, well, we're all the same. Yeah, but if somebody else eats peanuts, they're going to die. I'm not. It makes a difference. There are different factors which makes us all different in different ways. And if you don't think these doctors understand that when they're coming up with some of these vaccinations and cures and why some people have different effects than other people, you're not understanding what's going on. Another thing that I would say on, I guess, leaving that a little vague, something I don't feel a lot of people know or understand. The Tuskegee experiments, when they happen.
Woke up this morning. The only thing I have.
Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Oh, it's all right. You know what? We're going to go ahead and Google this from the beginning. Chris, can you pull up when the Tuskegee experiment began?
It was like in 1932, I believe.
Mm-hmm. See, a lot of people know that about what time it began. Let's go into when it ended.
Oh, that was like 1960 something.
Go a little bit further.
1932.
1932 is the beginning date. From what I remember, it ended in the early 70s.
Yes.
Like 72.
Because it was almost 40. It was almost 40 years that the project existed.
Almost 40 years.
And the thing, and they were treating untested cases of syphilis in black men, right? So even when the penicillin came about that they could use to treat it, they didn't even offer that treatment to them. They just left them to just continue to study the effects of this. But if you look at the doctor who was running that program, he was running the same exact program in Guatemala too. That's worth mentioning.
Well, and he was also basing his research off of the research in Puerto Rico, where they were sterilizing Puerto Rican women down there. And so if you look a couple of years before that doctor that was doing that, it gets into something which I'm glad for the audience that we have, that they're able to stomach all the stuff that we throw out there at them. History a lot of times is ugly, but the only way you can understand the dynamics we're in today is you got to start looking back into history and truthfully look at it. And the problem that I see that exists outside of, I feel like, our circle here, and with a lot of our cohorts online, is they don't understand the relevance of knowing what happened. They don't understand the relevance of understanding all this history and why certain things matter. They don't understand why certain people focus on certain details and why they're trying to learn about certain things. And all of these things matter. And if you're fighting for somebody, it's easy for you to say, well, let's just focus on this one thing and not attach yourself to all these other issues. But in order for us to understand all this stuff that's going on, we have to truly understand how corrupt our government is, how ruthless our government is, that we don't live in a country. We live in a corporation, and they're just doing business with us, and we are part of the commodity. They've moved from slavery, from an actual physical bondage, to finding a way to move that whole caste system into the whole capitalism system we're all in. Yeah, you can decide, well, screw this. I'm not doing 9 to 5. Well, if you don't, more than likely you're going to be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still locked in to controls to stay into the society. And say you decide, no, I'm not going to work and I'm going to be homeless. Then there's so many different ways they can lock you into the system to put you back into legalized slavery, which the United States still has slavery under the 13th Amendment. Don't make any mistake there. So we got to focus on that. What's going on here to understand the system now. Sometimes I will, slip and use the proverbial white people. That's not to every single person individually. So please keep that understood. Just like if I'm talking about any other community, that's not every single person.
And Marcus, I notice there's a tendency by people not to just disregard eugenics and eugenicists and what they stand for and what they believe. Now, perfect example, Whitney Webb, she always does great work. She's a reporter for those who don't know. So she put out a story today. What did it say? The developers of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is tied to the UK eugenics movement, right? The developers of the vaccine have previously undisclosed ties to the renamed British Eugenics Society, as well as other eugenics-linked institutions like the Wellcome Trust. So if you choose not to look at that, you're never going to understand what is happening.
Well, I mean, and what I was going to say onto that is when black and brown people are saying that the white man is our enemy, they're not talking about every single white person. They're talking about the people who run things. And you all of us agree, the people who run things are not our damn friends. They don't care about any of us. And people need to learn how to disconnect themselves from the people who are in power that we're talking about and join and bond with us. And part of bonding with us is understanding and accepting what might be your ancestors' stake in it also. In this day and age, yes, none of us physically had our hands on any of that. But if we don't want to face the truth because, oh, I might have had a great grandfather who was a slave master, then you're part of the problem in getting forward because you're blocking a part of information because you don't want to accept it. I mean, it's not like any of us are gonna, just start punching people in the face because your great grandfather was a slave master. But if this explains out something that ties to something else, then it helps with the whole process. And one thing we have to understand is in Europe, America, in Western society, in the upper echelons of white society, there has been people who have been pushing for eugenics. And that is not just something that went on decades ago. There are still people which believe the world is getting overpopulated. There's a certain amount of resources, and 10% of the world is white. If these numbers keep growing, the possibility of enslavement, extinction, all of those things are going through their mind. If you wonder how I know, it's because I've heard them say it. So if I know that they think that way, and I know that they have the wealth and power to control these things, then it's obvious to me that this is something I should be worried about. Emmanuel, I was wondering, you have any thoughts?
I was just going to go off of what you about understanding the past. I definitely, I definitely look into the 1918 flu pandemic. More now that a bunch of things been because more mass, people got antsy, people came. Apparently, there were waves. The presidents that were there during both times apparently both got it right. So looking back at history, I think it's important. I think it's important to at least know because I brought this up in the past before. Somebody did a documentary about it, and people as to how little information there was about the flu pandemic itself. They said it happened. A certain number of people died, but there's no real deep into what happened, how it happened. It's still sketchy. The epicenter was or where it started. Any of that. There's no future information for generations to say that it happened here. It was caused here. It spread like we know broad strokes. No fleshed out.
I think. Oh, I think that it was. I think that it was kind of a fluke. I think they were experimenting around with some crap they were going to do for later, and I think it became a fluke. But the reason why there was so little information, see, this is why I feel like people need to do more of a, and I mean like overall history. War history is so vital, and most people don't understand war history. If you understand war history, you start understanding what they're fighting for, the resources, and all those things like that. And when you get into the actual war history that was going on at the time, they had a world war going on, and they did not. If they start talking about that they have this flu that's everywhere, then they have to start restricting people from travel. You can't restrict people from travel if you have a world war and you want to keep shipping people back and forth from America to Europe. And so if they did that, even though we were the epicenter, that's the funny thing about it. They call it the Spanish flu, and it literally started out its heart. It's I guess essence of where the I guess the strongest parts of the strain were in Leavenworth, Kansas. On the base, and we spreaded it from Leavenworth, Kansas to Spain, and spreaded it throughout Europe by bringing the troops back and forth. And they didn't. If we stop, because we had more cases than anybody else. If we said okay, then we'll stop coming in, or we told them, they would have said okay, you can't bring American soldiers into the state into Europe because they're just infecting people. Then the war effort would have been lost from their point of view, and so they had to keep it secret.
No, I knew. Well, yes, I knew all in that, and I guess the aftermath as well, right? I should read more into it. I'm reading more into it, but there was a after the pandemic back then there was a recession, and the Gilded Age happened. Then the Great Depression happened. So if we're going,
Mark, what does 14 and fish have in common? Because on this picture here, Podesta has a picture of a fish and 14. I'm gonna pull it up. Something about Pizzagate, but I want to know if you know what the image means. Let me find it. Oh, okay, there we go. Give me a second. Boom, boom, boom. What does that mean? The 14 and the fish.
14 and the fish. I got to do some more research into that. That's deep. 14 and the fish. I know that the fish, whenever they were talking about different types of meats, this is going to get kind of a little awkward, but when they start talking about different kind of meats, they were talking about either boys, girls, their ages, stuff like that. And so that was talking about what age of the victim. and like what type of victim, I believe. So like if it was like pepperoni pizza, that was supposed to be like a black boy, or you get what I'm saying, something like that, or like if it was a hot dog, it was like an Asian girl, or I don't know the code, but it had something to do with that. And so I don't know, maybe 14 could be 14 of those type of children, you know, being molested or attacked. But I would have to look more into it. It's just kind of what I've heard as far as Pizzagate goes.
Yeah, there was a bunch of those emails were real nasty. It was highly encoded with, you know, pedophilia talk and all that other stuff. So, you know, I suggest just go read it for yourself and make your own determination. Don't listen to anybody. Just go read through them. They're available.
I mean,
Hey, don't you guys think? What do you guys?
Now.
Wait, what'd you say, Marcus?
I said I'm gonna take a note of that right now. Oh no, go ahead.
No, I'm just laughing at Kelly's comment. Because Variant had posted this. It has to do with the story about the third leg being cut off. Yo, I'm telling you, people are really sick, man. And you know, we do ourselves a disservice by not really understanding the things that they're into and their forms of worship and the things that they deem to be divine. Because it's a totally different definition of divinity than you have.
I mean, we got to keep in mind that when it gets into all these different, you know, forms of, especially ancient kind of what we would call left-hand type energy religions, there's a whole lot of different sacrifice and stuff like that involved in some of the practices. And I'm not saying that I believe any of that or that you should believe any of that, but you should definitely believe that people believe in that stuff and that they practice it and they do it. And they believe that it's the reason why they're successful or whatever, and they need to keep doing it for the success or whatever. And I don't know if it is an actual spirit demon that's talking to them and convincing them and is rewarding them for this, or if it's all in their crazy ass heads. But the actions of children being molested, kidnapped, trafficked, all of these things are facts. And that part you do have to realize is going on.
Hey, so let me.
Okay, they're talking about hearing the echo. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna come back.
Okay.
All right.
Because I could still hear it on my end, Marcus.
Oh, you said I'm echoing?
Yeah, he was echoing. You know, Kelly made.
When Emmanuel was unmuted.
Yeah, Kelly wrote a comment, says, "Don't people realize that, you know, if male members were cut off, there would be no humans? You know, haha, it's a joke, whatever. But if you look at the plans that these people have, that's exactly it. Not so much to like dismember all males in that way, but what they would like to do is stop people from procreating on some level. And you know, all this vaccine talk, virus talk, all of that is covered to bring that about, because we know they already feel like there's too many of us here on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
it really
what I've been talking
anti-human.
about.
It is an anti-life, anti-human, anti-God, whatever you want to call it, agenda by the ruling class. Clearly, they feel only a certain portion, only a specific set of people should be around.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's something that you don't have to. You don't even have to be going into the Bible. You can just look at what some of the wealthy people have just said numerous times, and if you keep seeing all these people who say it, and you see all these people who say it all hang out together, and they are all in control of vaccinations going to countries and stuff like that. I mean, at a certain point, it's like, why is this hard to figure out? They said that they feel it's too many people. Well, and here's something. You can say that, well, they're not trying to handle people's growth or do any of that population control. Well, why in Africa have they been working so much on contraceptions and all that stuff, pushing it hardcore through Africa for the past like 40, 50 years? They're trying to keep those people from having kids. And one way they're doing it is the prophylactics and things like that. But the other way that they're doing it is through the vaccinations, through them not actually treating people properly. Oh crap! Let me back that out of there. Oh, I almost hit the wrong button. Sorry there, Emmanuel.
You're good, man.
Oh, let's do a
You don't
sound
have
check.
an echo anymore.
Okay.
You're good.
All right. Oh, what was that last one Kelly put up there?
Her last comment?
Yeah. Yeah, it gets even deeper than that. That is something that they did. The buck breaking was something that was horrendous. Also, they literally used to feed the babies to alligators to try to get the alligators to. That's how they would hunt them, so they can make leather wallets and all those things like that. They used to even put babies out there like 3, 4 years old picking cotton. I mean, they were ruthless with it, and what a lot of us focus on, they focus on just United States, but this practice went on literally United States, Canada, all through the Americas, all the way down and throughout all those European nations, which they were all doing it. And then not only were they doing it in their nations, but they were going to parts of the rest of Africa and doing that also. And then at the same time they were doing that, they were going over to China and Japan and doing the same damn thing. That's what Europe was literally doing for the last 500 years, just ransacking the whole entire world. Basically, since they came out of the Dark Ages. And if you start doing some history into the Dark Ages, it'll start to make some sense why. What were you gonna say there, Chris?
No, I was just listening. Go ahead.
No, I won't go into too deep into the Dark Ages right now, but
Yeah.
I really think that you all need to look up a couple of different things. Like look up, for instance, the Minoans, the Greek Minoans, or the Etruscans, the Greek Etruscans, and the Roman Etruscans. You start looking into migration patterns of where people lived, before. It's kind of like how they were talking about, oh, Jesus's birthday. Let's talk about that a little bit. I figure, yeah, it's the latter end of the show. We'll probably wrap up a little bit after I finish this, but it's kind of late, and so we can go ahead and get into the real heat because only the people who are really, really, down with the program are up for hearing, some of the more controversial stuff that we say for the end.
They're just signs. They're just breeding amongst themselves. It seems like nothing has changed. Nothing has changed since Egypt and Cleopatra days, and even before that. They want to keep it in house all the time. Um, the best way to keep money and power is to keep it in the house. So that's why you want cousins and first and second and third cousins to marry each other, produce a child, all the money stays there. That's part of the reason why priests don't get married either.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing going into that, if you look into most of those early royal families, they started to create certain physical deformities, literally named after certain families because of all the inbreeding that they would have. There was what was it, the Habsburg chin or jawline, where their chin hangs out really, really far.
Think like Jay Leno on steroids with the chin.
Yeah. There is the Rothschild family. They have like this kind of a cone shape to their head from early inbreeding. let's see what some of the other ones. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
remember the Coneheads movie? You remember the Coneheads? We are Beldar, Neb, Neb.
Mhm. One of the French families, I can't remember. Man, it's the same one from the Matrix,
The
actually.
Merovingian.
Merovingian. That line, they had hemophilia. That was a big
Mm.
problem with them. A good number of their family members died at early ages from like they got into a car accident or something, and at 15 just bled out, or had an accident where they fell down, scratched themselves on a rock, and they couldn't stop the bleeding. So all of these royal families, because of the amount of inbreeding, and then I forgot one of the other interesting ones, which I think where you start to see some of these serial killers, which we deal with into today, and even back in England in the turn of the century with Jack the Ripper, um, insanity. There were plenty of them were known for just being like insane, and so you give these people power to be in charge and all of this wealth and they start going insane, what do you think is going to happen? So, I mean, I guess I'm starting to echo again.
Yo, Signs, you're funny for this one, Signs. Oh, that's why do I hear echo on my side? Oh, okay.
They don't like you, man. I think you're echoing again.
Am I? I'm not even saying anything.
He's good.
I guess it was maybe me. I don't know. It doesn't like me. But all of these different effects that you see today, which we have throughout different people, it's all come from these different royal families and this interbreeding. That got me sidetracked off of the point that I was going to go into. If we go back into these early movements and migration patterns of people, the one thing which you'll start seeing is that a lot of the people who we perceive, yeah, I'm echoing. Could you both mute real quick?
Mm-hmm.
All right, is that better? Yeah, there we go. If you start looking at things and you really break down who certain people were and put archaeology in proper perspective, you'll start realizing that certain things just don't make any damn sense. One of the things that doesn't make any sense is the Egyptians, for one. Who people think are Egyptians are not even the actual Egyptians of the biblical days and most of history. A lot of the people who are Egyptians moved into that area later on, and they would actually be Arabs. The people who lived there were not Arabs, they were Hamitic people, they were African. So if you look at the hieroglyphics in a lot of the Egyptian pyramids, the actual people what you will see are these tall, very, very skinny, very dark people, which today are known as Nubians. The Nubians were the original people who were actually there, and even back to the biblical days, those were the people who were living there. So when people start thinking about, oh well, Christ's image, he looked like the people. No, there was no Middle East. It's Africa. It's still on the same tectonic plates. The only reason where this Middle East came from is they put in the Suez Canal and start calling it Middle East to trip people up in history later on. We might get into that or we might not on this show, but it's definitely coming up and I'm sure Chris will remind me. But when we start getting into that topic, you start realizing that certain people lived in certain areas, and it's not hard to figure out who lived where according to history. Now, if you go into Christ, the actual man, any man who would have been born in the town of Bethel, which became Bethlehem, and those people, Egyptians and Hebrews were often mixed up, you would know that they would have to be the same complexion or similar in complexion. Also, if you factor in the fact that the Egyptians kept the Hebrews in captivity for a couple hundred years, there was only 70 when they went in, and when they walked out, there were millions. You take 70 people and you have them live in an area with mostly super black Africans. After that couple hundred years of slavery, what are they going to come out looking like? Don't worry, the Bible tells you. So just take a peek in there. If you start seeing that story, and you even go into Moses and all these other people, and you see that they were mixed up with Egyptians, it starts telling you one of the big stories that's completely missed about religion in general, and about a couple of big issues that are going on in the world, and a lot of money is tied into a fallacy that's going on. Trying to speak careful because I don't want to go into too deep without having all my all my sources and everything to back up what I'm saying. But when you start looking at migration patterns and understanding history and understanding all the actual wars and putting them on a proper timeline, it's easy to see what happened to who and who was happening to and when. And I guess leaving it on that note before I leave it, before I turn it over to my co-hosts for their comments on my little diatribe here. When you go through and start understanding just the actual real world history that you can see in the Bible and how it ties to secular history, especially if you understand Greek history and some of the wars they had against like the Maccabees, you understand that battle and those wars, and you start understanding the periods. The biggest thing is people need to understand that period before the Renaissance period in the Dark Ages. That's the key in understanding most of what's going on in history. I mean, well, history, and it'll tie into the major manipulators and people who are controlling. Because when we go into this whole Illuminati and 13 families, when you start understanding that, these are the same people who rose up during the Renaissance period. These are the remnants of those families who still have the power to this day. And all they've done, think about it, these are the same people who created democracy. I mean, when it really focuses down, there's only a handful of people who have been controlling things throughout our history, no matter from the beginning and up to now. All of these democracies and so-called parliaments are all shams, and they're all behind the major hustle which has been going on. And if you just look at the trajectory the world has been on from the moment of Renaissance period, it's been the Popes decided that everyone needs to convert to Christianity, or their version of Christianity, or die. Then after they did that, that allowed for them to subjugate, steal, rape, rob, murder those people to build all of those empires. After they build all those empires and then start fighting over the last remaining new plot of land, after they got it chopped up, okay, French, you guys get Canada, okay, the Americans, they won United States, okay, Spain, they get Mexico, okay, the Portuguese, you guys win Brazil, and then they chop up the rest of the South America. Well, the Spaniards kind of have pseudo control over it, while the British and Americans extol major tolls out of them. What you see is there's one group of people all coming from the Eagle, who are all they push the whole slave trades. Then after the slave trades, they built up their kingdoms and castles to the same corporations, and it's the same tie and the same people who have been only doing these things for a couple hundred years. And so if these are the same people who would go into nations, start taking, raping, robbing, murdering, manipulating, lying about information, these are the same people who will lie to you about whatever vaccinations that they want to give you. These are the same people who will say, oh, well, this is a politician who really cares about you. All of these things, you just got to look at the people who are running things and stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, because they come to you with words that are smooth as butter while they harbor war in their hearts. I guess I'll turn it over now to you fellas. What do you think?
Your whole speech had like this low. It's not about your speech, because I actually believe the concept about your speech. I downloaded something about the vaccine being having to tie into the Rothschilds or something like that. I downloaded a form or whatever that had like it was like an invoice off of like one of the Rothschild people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it holds any credence, but when you were saying that whole speech, you had this. Maybe it was just me, but you had this underlying like static in the background. So I don't know what this, but I just wanted to bring it up. It's like, and it seems to be a concurrent thing too. Like whenever you talk about like Bible history or the Rothschild or any of that, there's like some static that kicks in the background. Versus like, I guess maybe it's me with the echoing and you with the static, and Chris. I don't know. Chris never has any problems from what it looks like. So
No, they do it for a reason.
Yeah, and plus I'm on the PC and I'm hardwired. Like I'm hardwired to the internet too, so that's probably why mine is the way it is. But Marcus, what I think about what you said, you already know. I agree. Like I think it's taking people too long to actually figure out what is really happening and who is in control. I mean, I even try to share some of this information with people, and you just point out certain things, and they're still like, well, it's not that. It can't. Okay. It people are willingly choosing to ignore what's in front of their face, because to accept the truth is to make people a little uncomfortable. But you're already uncomfortable in your current situation, so why not be? You're already uncomfortable with the fake shit. Be uncomfortable with the truth. Then you can separate from those you need to separate from and build with those you need to build with.
you still hear people saying, "Oh, politicians care. The government cares. They never do anything to hurt us." You'd be surprised how many people still continuously say that. I can fix it if I change inside. All we have to do is just push Biden left, and he'll just do whatever we need. But we just got to keep the pressure on.
Besides the coronavirus nonsense in the election, between the coronavirus and the election, push Biden left is the other biggest nonsense that we've heard this year.
Let's see, I want to answer this one from Signs real quick. It says, I see religion historically as a foot in the door method, because you could cross borders in the name of God to become established, then deify, canonize local heroes to give the church more. That is exactly what all those European nations did. For instance, most of those saints that the Catholic Church made saints, they're not no damn saints. They're just random ass people they decided to make a saint. I mean, and it even says in the Bible, like, you know how they're like, well, I'm gonna pray to Saint Christopher to protect my whole family and all that crap that they do. None of that crap is in the Bible.
Look,
none of it. It tells you.
It's funny you say that. I went to Catholic school back in the day, right? So we used to pray to Saint Christopher every day, because he was supposedly the patron saint of travel.
Protection travel. That's what it was.
Yeah, so we used to sit and, at the end of the day, we would say a prayer to him, and then, we go about our business.
See,
when I went to Catholic school, I think there's even a patron saint for cops. It was like,
oh, you did too, E? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a patron saint for cops. I don't know. I can't remember who it is, but I remember it being brought up in the
I think
Catholic
that's
school
like
when
the
I was.
same one for soldiers. I mean, and that's the thing. That's not what the saints actually are. But even people who go to church don't read the Bible. Just like back in the old days. The difference in the old days, they were illiterate, so they couldn't read the Bible, and it was also illegal for them to read the Bible. Now, people are just lazy as hell, so they're not going to read it. I mean, you don't even have to actually read it these days. You can audiobook it, like I do a lot of it. You can be washing dishes just listening to it. And actually, some of the stories would be dope if like Netflix decided to put a couple $1 million into it. But that's just me. I mean, all the superheroes. I'm like, dude, they literally jacked the story from the Bible. Like the Human Torch. I mean, that's Abraham. Abraham was literally walking around in the fire, and like people were trying to get him, and they were like getting all burned up by the fire. I almost think that like that was him throwing some little Dalsine flame at him or something. But
Yoga flame, yoga fire.
flame. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I mean, there's plenty, and then there's talking about like Naphtali who would like outrunning horses. I mean, you outrunning a horse, and so I mean that's where I think they got a lot of that stuff from. Now the difference is Catholics, they were Catholicism. The big problem with it, which most people don't understand, and with a lot of churchianity, as I call it, well, it's not my term, I borrowed it, but what they do is they took the Bible and they fused as much of their Greek paganism and idol worship into it as possible. That's exactly what they did because they knew most of those people lean towards those pagan religions already. So they just meshed it in there to make those pagans become Catholics. Ah, that's correct. That is correct.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you. Well, let's see.
Yeah, Kelly. So yeah, I went to Catholic school. I went to an all boys Catholic high school.
I went to Catholic school and school up until had to be second or third grade because I got I pissed off one of the nurses something real bad, and they booted me out, and I had public school.
And I for 2 years to like what would have been Methodist private school. So we've all had our experiences with versions of private school. And the funniest thing to me is when I talk Bible to people, and I'll bring up some. But you can't take verses out of context. So I'm like, but that's what y'all do in the church all day long. Everything is taken out of context. That's the biggest thing I learned about the Bible. It's good news for some people, and it is horrible news for a whole lot of people. And so those people who are worried about population control, they don't have to worry about that. If the Bible is accurate, don't worry, population control is going to be under control, and they're going to be a big part of that's going away. So we can all round of applause for that. Thank the Heavenly Father for that.
Oh no, Signs. That was in New York, but it wasn't in Virginia, New York.
All right. I guess on that note, you guys have anything else?
No. Here.
All right. Oh yeah, that's right. So, in and out that topic of what I said earlier. If we already know the Egyptians, I already said there were Nubians, they were getting mixed up with Hebrews. Class, what colors does that make the Hebrews?
Blick.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No,
so
Kelly, I don't know about any of that, Kelly. I don't know about none of that. She's actually funny as hell, man. But
I think Kelly probably has a yardstick waiting for you.
You guys are nuts, man. Not me. There was one thing I was looking for. I wanted to bring up. It was this right here, and I'll leave this. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up in a second. Give me a second.
Woo! I definitely got to answer that one. Yes, that's a good one, Science. Oh, I guess while you pull it up, I'll go ahead and answer that question.
Yeah.
Science says, do any of you think 2021 can get better? I think much worse. Emmanuel, I will give that to you first.
Well, let's see. Let's see. The strains might improve. Marcus, correct. Marcus had speculated the strains was going to turn into a bigger problem with some obscure. When they was jumping into an animal, I was like, it seems like it's going to be a bigger issue down the line, but it also pushes into what Marcus was saying way before me, that Biden may push us into another lockdown, even though when he was saying it at the time, the vaccines were getting pushed out. Let's see. He's about to be inaugurated. He's not going to do literally anything. He's clearly Kelly's funny. Biden's not going to do anything for anybody. He's pretty much flat out saying, I'm operating from the center. I'm not doing any of that. It's just same as it ever was. Nothing's fundamentally changing under the man, and we are all really solidly aware of it. So I wouldn't hold out too much hope that 2021 will look any better than 2020.
I did want to pull this up right here just to show everyone the date. Now, this is from the CDC. It's talking about, from the World Health Organization. It's talking about herd immunity. So from June of 2020, they tell you about herd immunity. Now, they say herd immunity is the indirect protection from infectious disease that happens when a population is immune either through vaccination or immunity developed through previous infection, right? That was June of this year. 5 months later, in November, they changed the entire definition of herd immunity now. Herd immunity, also known as population immunity, is a concept used for vaccination, in which a population can be protected from a certain virus if a threshold of vaccination is reached. So again, all of the information, literature, and everything they put out about this is always to put you into the camp of taking the vaccine. So you got to be very careful with the people you get your information from, because these supposed sources like the World Health Organization, the CDC, your local health people, you have to be very skeptical. Just double check, triple check, quadruple check everything before you believe anything.
They say it's causing. It can cause everything from making you more. It's making you more susceptible to HIV. It can cause erectile dysfunction. One long-term erectile dysfunction. One I've heard. You got that black lady who got that Bell's palsy on her face. I think it's gonna be. I think next year's
I told you my joke was that it was going to be that when you wake up with an erection, it was going to be a sign of corona. I had it all wrong. Now you're not going to be able to get it up because of the corona. So you need the vaccine to make sure you stay up, man. So get in line over there and go take this. No, I'm straight. But Kayla says, yeah, it's Orwellian nonsense. I'm sure Kayla's referring to the thing I just posted from the World Health Organization. Because again, they just change shit left and right. And you'll notice with that, they didn't provide any science or any data or any information to back up why they made the change to herd immunity, to the definition. So again, it is some Orwellian nonsense. And yes, Signs, we did check out ivermectin. I think that's how you say it. Yes, I looked into it. Same shit with hydrochloroquine, which is now okay to give to patients now. I guess Trump should have said hydrochloroquine would kill you. Then maybe people would have been able to use it. But that's how dumb people are. I'm sorry to say. They're really stupid. Trump, again, for all his nonsense, was not wrong in mentioning hydroxychloroquine or Plaquenil. And just all these brain dead, walking dead zombies just was like, oh, Trump said something, so I don't need to listen to it. Or it's the total opposite. You know, again, they used that shit for 70 years for a damn reason. And now here we are at the end of the year. Doctors can now prescribe hydroxychloroquine again. So, you know, too many stupid people around, man. Maybe some of them do need to go. I don't know.
All right, I guess I'll respond with what Science was asking about if the economy is what's going to happen in 2021, basically. Well, before I've kind of said for a long time that they're just waiting for after all these holidays and stuff to pass. Yeah, I think at that time, what was it? I was talking
Correct,
about
Kelly.
this was what a couple of months. I think me and Emmanuel were talking about it, and I think this was like before Halloween. I want to say, where we were talking about, yeah, man, nothing's gonna pop off for the next couple of months. They're gonna have they still gotta have, you know, all the money that they make off of Halloween. And Halloween dovetails right into Black Friday and Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of those holidays. You still got the election that needs to happen. Then after that, you're gonna have Christmas, and then you're gonna have New Year's, and then you have the inauguration. The day after the inauguration happens, that's when you're going to start seeing everything. I mean, our news feeds are going to be going like a million miles a minute because that's when we're going to start seeing it all unravel. They have to make sure that they can keep this ship floating just long enough for them to be able to have the photo finish that they want. They want to have all the banners and try to make it look as festive as possible for this Joe Biden Kamala thing.
Oh yeah, look, guys.
Everything.
Let me ask you guys this one last question. When y'all start seeing commercials for transition team, like everything is transition team, like what the fuck is that? Again, to me, it's part of the mind that they have to do to people because they know that this election was not what they say it is. Again, it's beyond. Look, it's hard to talk this stuff with people because they're in their respective camps. But again, since I'm not in any one of these camps, it's easy for me to look at it and be like, this election was bullshit. They cheated. It is what it is.
And they talk about and everybody talks about the Trump saying the 2000. But if you look at him on camera, you know, he's saying, election was fake. It was fake. He tied it in like I think he tied it in like the last 30 seconds or something like that. Oh, I want to give you $2,000. Oh, it's fake, real quick. So,
look, a term we didn't hear all the time in the past couple months or years, deficit, right? So now we're about to hear deficit, austerity, blah, blah, blah.
Swung around austerity, man. They were already swinging around the word austerity before. They're just going to kick it up in the overdrive, just after that. They were swinging. Team Biden was swinging austerity. Well, I think what?
And then on the low, last thing I'll say about Team Biden and those band of idiots over there, they're already setting it up to take an even more hostile approach to Russia than before. Because, of course, we had that cyber attack last week or whatever, right? So in reading the comments from the Biden team, what is it? Our number one priority is going to be to retaliate against the Russians and put them in their place for this cyber attack. So again, they want us to believe that they told us for 5 years that Russia messed with the election, or 4 years, excuse me. They told us for 4 years Russia messed with the election. We have this election. Pelosi says most secure election ever. Then we have a cyber attack, and it's Russia. So wait, so Russia didn't do anything for the election, but right after they attacked the Department of Treasury and the Department of Commerce, really? Oh, I thought they wanted their guy Trump to win. So why didn't they help him this time? What happened?
Mhm.
So again, to me, it's more bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. We could go on all night talking about
Yeah.
these
Mhm.
bums, but I mean, we will, I guess, close it out. I definitely welcome you all to join us tomorrow. I'm not sure if Chris and Emmanuel can make it or not. If they can join me, I definitely welcome them, of course. But I know we should definitely have Harut there and Sade for on my other channel. What I've been thinking, the panel, and we'll be getting into more of these stories about the vaccinations. Definitely, we're going to talk more about the runoff in Georgia. That's definitely going to be one of the topics, and we're going to talk more about this transition nonsense. So,
Mhm.
hopefully you all come and join us tomorrow. I have it planned for what is that, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Western, and what would that be, 5 p.m. Central. So with that said, thank you all for joining us this evening. And as always, hey, if there's any information that you guys want to add, like you always do, throw in the information. Always join the chat. And if you have friends who want to join the chat and are not afraid of diving at all the issues wholeheartedly and always keeping an open mind like we do at the Political Matrix, then bring them on over. Also, make sure to every now and then push out a share. If we're talking about a topic that's pretty interesting, you want to get more people involved, make sure to share and make sure that your bell is clicked, that you're getting all of our notifications so that you can be there and catch us from the beginning, because I know some of you hate when you miss us from the beginning. So with that said, I'm your host, Young Morpheus, here with my two good friends, Mr. Chris Lawson and Mr. Emmanuel over there. You guys all have a good one, and please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe.
Same to you guys. Have a good night. Good morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Same here. You guys have a good one, all right? And happy rest of your holiday.